welcome to our nav station. And there's no chart plotter. We don't have a chart plotter. We have paper charts, and we have a thing called a yeoman. And I'll just lift this chart back. So all the yeoman is, just can't get the staff for cleaning, is this plastic mat. And all we do is we pop the chart on this plastic mat, and we orient it to orientate the map to the chart, which is really straightforward to do. And we have this this puck that goes on top, and I'll turn it on now. And this puck has a set of lights around the outside that you may or may not be able to see flashing, and it's got an LCD screen, a few buttons along the bottom. It's a really simple thing to use, but the big thing to note is this window here that you can look through has got a hole in the middle. And so what we do is we put this on the chart, and the reason there's a hole in the middle there is because you can put your pencil through the hole and make a dot on the chart, because that is where you're going to be. So GPS has got a signal, and it's sending a position to our yeoman, and as you can see we've only got two lights on, this one and this one. So what we need to do is we need to slide towards this light. There we go. Whoops, too much. So that's correct for our easting. So now we want to do our northing, so we need to go straight up, and I'll turn that light down, you'll be able to see what happens here. Get a pencil through the hole, make a dot on the chart, and there's our dot on the chart there. Look, let me turn some light on here so you can see it. There's our dot on the chart, and oh, it says Sutton Harbour, and that's where we are. So it's really, really simple. You just zoom this around till you've got the lights out, and that's where you are. And then the next thing you can do with this is, if we're up here, if we want to go to here, we put this where we want to go to, and press the button here, and it says here it's 207 degrees, 12.34 or 35 nautical miles, and if we were moving it would tell us the time to go. So it more than gives you a position, it does a whole lot of operations. It's just a really useful bit of kit, and it's so quick and easy. And we're still using paper charts, which we kind of like. And it'll work on any scale chart. I mean, it'll work on the AA road map. All you have to do is give it a lat and long to start with. And once it's got that, hey, you're away, you're in business. It uses very little power. So it's a pretty good crew member. We kind of like that one. We do have a laptop on board that has charts on it. Which we can go to. We've had it on board for about 5 or 6 years now. We've never used it, but I have occasionally brought it out and fired it up just to keep familiar how to. It's got open CPN on it, so but we do use the laptop for other things, so to do with our navigation. So let me just grab that out and we can show you a bit about what we do here. So I've got a mat here that it sits on to stop it sliding about, so it grips really well and doesn't slide anywhere. So we have a shortwave radio, and this is it. This is our shortwave radio. It's not a transmitter, it's just a receiver. It's called an SDR. It stands for software defined radio, and it's just basically USB plugs into your laptop. So we have an active aerial on the back of the boat. This is the antenna wire, and that plugs into there, and this plugs into the back of our radio, and we now have a shortwave radio, and we can receive weather facts on that. We can get weather data from satellites going overhead as they pass. We can get some really good pictures using this, which is great. So that's one of our forms of obtaining weather with a shortwave radio plugged into a laptop. So that's what we use the laptop for. Also, if we want to use the laptop for navigation, I have this gadget, and so we'll start with this grey wire. This grey wire comes out of the back of our AIS unit. I've wired this in to our AIS unit, and it's got a serial, a socket for a 9-pin serial, and this converts serial to USB. So now I can plug these two together, and I can plug this USB into the back of our laptop, and all of a sudden, when I've got my chart software OpenCPN running, I can overlay all of the AIS information on here. And the OpenCPN is using the GPS aerial from the AIS unit to get a position, which is quite good. So we've got a new GPS aerial on the stern that came with this unit. So there are a few uses for this laptop. We've got a couple of laptops kicking around the boat, but like I say, we've never really used it for navigation too much. And if we decide we want navigation in the cockpit, what we can do is we can plug this red cable in. On the end we've got RJ45, and this plugs into the back of the laptop. Plunk clip every trip, there you go. And that now sends data. It goes from here to behind me, and behind me here, just here, we have, this is a, we can turn this on, so this is just a router, a Wi-Fi router. And what we can do is we can use a bit of remote access software. We use Team Viewer, and we can take our we've got one of these Tough Books. This is a Tough Book tablet. We can take this in the cockpit. It's pretty resistant. You can drop them, throw them about. They're really good. They use them in the industry a lot. Military use them. They're tough as boots, and they'll stand a bit of wet and a lot of abuse. And we can mirror on this screen whatever's on the laptop. So we can take this out into the cockpit with us, and we can control the laptop screen. So we can zoom in and out, all that sort of stuff. So we do have electronic navigation we can have in the cockpit with us. We don't use it very much, but then we've only been cruising a bit of Northern Europe, and now we're going to be going into places with lots of tight corners and reefs and things like that, and hopefully not too much in the dark. But if you get caught out, well, we've got the kit here to cope with it, and we'll use it. But otherwise we're going to stick with our paper charts. So yeah, our friendly little Tough Book lives on the wall here, and our laptop lives in the chart table, although we do get the laptop out when we want to receive weather. So that's the kind of basic system around the nav station. So I ought to run through just one or two other things that we've got here. So we have got a light that I can turn on here. You're probably seeing that, this nice white light for what we want to see. And it's on a dimmer switch, so we can have it as bright or not as we want. And then I can flick that off, and I can go to night mode, turn my switch on, and we've got everything flooded in red so it doesn't spoil your night vision. So we can go into nighttime mode, which is really nice at night. It's quite a nice light and lights it up well. So we've got everything kind of here in the one little spot. Charts, AIS, VHF radio. Got a little bank of switches down here which turn on and off my Yeoman, my small GPS, my AIS unit, and operate the red and white lights. We've got all the lights in the around on these dimmer switches, and so this is our dimmer switch here, and this dimmer switch runs both the white and the red lights, and I just change over on my switch panel down here. I can just turn the red lights off and turn the white lights on, and they'll run on my dimmer. So yeah, it works kind of quite well. So I'm going to start shutting this stuff down. Yeah, and we've got a little space for a few books, not very many. We've got the One Pan Galet Gourmet, which is a brilliant book, but we don't need it because we've got a brilliant cook now. How cool is that? And then our first aid. We got a lovely old book here, which is Knots and Ropes from, I think it's about 1946. 1946 Knots and Ropes. It's an American Army book. It's really cool. It's quite amusing to read, and it's really good. And then we got our first, like I say, first aid books and 1 or 2 nav books. We've got a few pilots here. We kind of got everything we need, and then all our spare leads. You see, in this modern world, we seem to have hundreds of leads for plugging in Android phones, iPhones, iPads, laptops. So I've made a dedicated shelf for all these leads. I've got loads of them in here. Let me put some light on them and these so you can see a bit, but yeah, there's lots of them in here. So I've made some new shelves on the wall here. So we're pretty organised. And the chart table, we'll go through that later. The chart table is like a normal chart table seemingly on boats. It's full of all sorts of things, but they're all very precious and I need them all. Yeah. And for some reason, I don't know why, but it always seems to have lived here, but the nav station keeps my gas for my soldering iron. And we have a spirit level. And people say, why have you got a spirit level? Well, because I want to know, because we adjust the mast as we're sailing. It makes us go faster. Wow, scary. So yeah, welcome to the navigation department. See you in the next episode. Bye.